I was 23, fresh out of a relationship that felt like eating plain oatmeal for 2 years, and my roommate's mom came to pick him up for Thanksgiving. She walked in, and I swear to God, my brain short-circuited. She wasn't just hot for her age. She was a Category 5 hurricane in a cashmere sweater, and my dick stood up so fast I nearly knocked over a lamp. That's when I first realized my thing wasn't a thing. It was a fucking obsession hiding in plain sight. See, society tells you that you're supposed to want the 22-year-old influencer with the spray tan. But here I was, staring at a 47-year-old accountant with laugh lines and a voice that sounded like whiskey and wisdom, and I was ready to burn my entire life down for 5 minutes of her time. That's the taboo, right? That's the part that makes people shift in their seats. We're not supposed to admit that the idea of a woman who's already survived her 20s, who knows exactly what she wants, who has absolutely zero patience for games, makes us feral. But it does. And the first time I acted on it, I felt like a goddamn criminal. Her name was Diane, and she was my neighbor. 52. Divorced. Had a garden that looked like something out of a fairy tale, and a laugh that made my stomach drop like I was on a roller coaster. I was fixing her fence, a stupid, transparent excuse to be near her, and she brought me out a glass of iced tea. She was wearing shorts. That's it. Just shorts. And the way the sun hit the back of her thighs, I stopped breathing. She caught me staring, didn't flinch, just raised an eyebrow, took a slow sip of her own tea, and said, "You keep looking at me like that, kid, and I'm going to start thinking you're not here for the fence." My soul left my body. I was so turned on I couldn't form a sentence. It wasn't just physical. It was the power in that moment. She wasn't flattered. She wasn't shy. She was calling me out. And my brain was just a neon sign flashing abort mission, while my dick was screaming full speed ahead. We ended up in her living room, and I swear, it was like I'd never touched a woman before. She didn't ask me what I liked. She told me. She put her hand on my chest, pushed me back on the couch, and looked at me like I was a dessert she'd been saving. I was trembling, man. Not from nerves. From the sheer fucking reality of it. I'd gone from a boy fumbling in the dark to a man being initiated into a cult, and the high priestess had a coach bag and a mortgage. Here's the embarrassing part. The part that still makes me cringe when I'm trying to fall asleep. After it was over, I tried to act cool. I was lying there, sweating, trying to remember how to breathe, and I said something stupid like, "So you do this a lot?" She laughed, that deep, knowing laugh, and said, "Oh, honey, you were so loud, I'm pretty sure the whole block knows I do this." I wanted to die. I wanted the couch to open up and swallow me whole. I had been a cliché, the eager, loud, overly enthusiastic puppy who thinks he's a wolf. And she just sat there, unbothered, sipping her tea like she hadn't just turned my entire world inside out. I felt guilty for a while, not for the sex, but for what it meant. I'd tell myself I was using her, that it was some weird Oedipal thing my therapist would have a field day with. I'd go on Tinder, try to date girls my age, and it felt like talking to children. They'd be worried about their Instagram aesthetics, and I'd be thinking about the way Diane's voice dropped an octave when she was about to tell me exactly what she wanted. The guilt made me an asshole for a minute. I'd snap at friends who joked about cougars. I'd get defensive, because deep down, I knew they were laughing at something that felt like a religion to me. Then, one night, I stumbled on an article. It wasn't some trashy magazine. It was a psychology paper, buried under 100 links, about male attraction to older women. And the second I read the words, the desire for psychological safety and unapologetic clarity, it was like a bomb went off in my head. I wasn't broken. I wasn't looking for a mom. I was looking for a woman who was done performing, a woman who knew her own body so well that she could teach me mine. I was looking for honesty, the kind that only comes after you've been married, divorced, and rebuilt your life from the ground up. I didn't want a fantasy. I wanted a fucking architect. Here's the twist. And this is the part where you need to sit with it for a second. It wasn't about sex. The sex was insane, sure. But what I was addicted to was the silence afterward, the lack of anxiety. With women my age, I was always on edge, trying to be impressive. With her, I'd be lying there, and she'd just read a book. And I'd feel calm. I'd feel seen, not because I performed, but because I existed in her space. That's what the fantasy is. It's not about a MILF stereotype. It's about being allowed to just be a man without having to audition for the role. The darkest part? The part one, only admit when I'm drunk with my best friend? I started to sabotage my own relationships because of it. I'd find a sweet, pretty girl my age, and I'd get bored when she asked for validation. I wanted her to be the one telling me what to do. I wanted her to look at me with that calm, slightly amused expression that said, "I love you, but I don't need you." I was basically trying to turn every woman I dated into Diane, and when they couldn't be, I'd treat them like they were the ones who were failing. That's the dirty secret no one talks about. You don't just fetishize the age gap, you fetishize the emotional armor. And expecting a 25-year-old to have that is a fucking insane, unfair standard. So what did I learn? I learned that wanting a woman who's already built her empire is fine. It's natural. It's biology and psychology and 100 years of evolution screaming that stability is hotter than chaos. But I also learned that I was chasing a feeling I had to build in myself. You can't just consume that energy. You have to earn it. If you're a younger guy reading this and you're feeling that pull, don't be a predator about it. Don't be the kid who fumbles into her life just to feel powerful. Be the guy who shows up with a genuine compliment and a full toolbox. Be someone worth her time. Because the truth is, a woman who's 50 and confident doesn't need you, and that's exactly why you want her so badly. Now, here's the part that fucks me up. I saw Diane last week. She was walking her dog, and she looked exactly the same. She smiled, asked how my little girlfriend was doing. I told her we broke up. She just nodded, that infuriating knowing nod. Then she said, "That's a shame. You always did better with women who knew how to hold a hammer." She winked, and walked away. And I'm standing there, 3 years older, supposedly wiser. And my first thought wasn't to go home and journal about my feelings. My first thought was, I wonder if she still drinks that same iced tea.